What do you say, everybody? We are at Manchester, and it has been a while. 14 Guitars here. I hope you all doing well. I hope you've been able to ride. It's springtime. Of course, here in South Carolina, what passes for winter doesn't keep us from riding. So I mainly have ridden, I rode Santee until the last day of the season there, which is in early January. They close it until the end of March for maintenance. And of course, I rode all over Wamba a few times. And then I was on the road a lot. But look at our conditions in Manchester. Santee's closed and Wamba's closed today for maintenance. But look at these conditions. What do we see on the road up here? We see a puddle. A nice puddle of water. And at Manchester being a sand trail, look at that puddle. Woo! Being a sand trail, I can drive right through it. Right? Doesn't hurt. Traction just makes the traction better. I'm in two-wheel drive now, and my rear end's not locked, so basically one-wheel drive. Anyway, when you got that much water on the trail, you are going to have a great day. You are going to have a great ride. So I'm looking forward to these conditions and going for a ride. It's been a long time. Been too long since I've been at Manchester, so I'm kind of excited what we're going to do today. I'm going to put my, let's see if I can, I'm going to put my burrito under the hood up against the radiator overflow bottle, and it'll keep it around 160 degrees for when I'm done riding and have a nice hot meal. I hope you're all doing well, and we'll film starting when I'm on the red trail. I'm going to ride the red, then the green, then the blue. Before that, you know, here at Manchester, over my shoulder here, let me see if I can film it. Let's try. Yeah, there we go. So there's the sand track and the whoop-de-doo track. I don't know, it's like about a football field worth of whoop-de-doos. Sand track right over here. See the berms? Here and here. It's a little sand track. So I'll do my warm-up and then go for a ride. And pretty excited to be back at Manchester. It's been a while. I've got my scoop tires. I don't think I've ridden Manchester with the scoop tire on my bike, and the scoop tire completely changed the experience for me. What is it, an M14, a Dunlop M14, I think it is. Completely changed. If that's not right, I'll put the name here. It's just, since I'm riding sand half the time or most of the time, it just changes the game. It's a real game changer. You just get so much better traction. You're faster and you feel more in control. So once again, hope you're doing well. If you like my videos, give me a thumbs up, please. If you want to hear, get notified when I do have videos, please subscribe. And been away for a while working, which, you know, I'm an amateur at this. This is just for fun. And back for a while now. So I'm in the stage of my business where I tend to get a video out every week or two. So hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon. Bye. All right, we're on the red trail at Manchester. Did the really short warm-up. Not a full warm-up, just one little lap around the practice track, the whoop-de-doos, and half of the kids track or sand track, whatever you want to call it. So if you watch my videos, I think it's been since January 1st or something since I've ridden. So I just got back from a 10-day surf trip to Costa Rica. Surfed a lot, so did a lot of cardio. But there's definitely surfing muscles, not the same as dirt bike muscles. So we'll definitely be a little sore after today's ride, I'm sure. But you got to ride to get in shape, so I'm really excited to be back on the bike. I think the biggest difference on on the dirt bike versus the surfboard is your legs. You know, you don't stand for very long on a surfboard compared to all the time you spend paddling. So you get a great upper body workout on the surfboard and great cardio. But your legs, you're literally standing for what, probably 2 or 3% of the time. The rest of the time you're paddling back out after catching a wave, trying to time it, attempting to catch waves that you miss until you finally catch a nice wave. It also depends on conditions. We had pretty good conditions. Our surf session, I was catching maybe 5 to 10 waves. You know, we were on the Pacific coast of Costa Rica, so we had these kind of swells that would come in with a set of waves that were decent size, and then a 8 to 10 minute lull in between. There's still waves in between, but they're not the fun waves that you're really looking for. So during the in-between, you spend your time talking with your friends, kind of working your way to where you think the best peaks are going to be, checking out the beautiful Costa Rican scenery, and just thanking God that you have the opportunity to be in such a beautiful place. And for me, really thankful that at age 63, yeah, I finally turned 63 on Valentine's Day. At age 63, I'm able to still enjoy being fit. I had a heavy work day yesterday in my warehouse. I was hauling a bunch of totes. Totes are those big metal framed cubes, these plastic cubes that hold 275 or 300 gallons of liquid. Well, when those are full, they weigh about 2,500 pounds. And I was hauling those around by hand because my buddy was using my forklift. So I was dragging those around with my pallet jack. A little thing with a couple of forks, similar to forklift forks, but then just a little hydraulic jack. Same kind of jack that you jack your car up with. A little bottle jack built in. Raises the tote off the ground. You pump it up by hand, and then you drag it. And those wheels on those things, I guess you really properly you call them rollers. They're not really wheels. I'd say they're rollers. It's a more appropriate term. They're not friction free. So I do the knees over toes workout where I face the tote and drag it toward me with me walking backwards in front of the tote. That makes you use certain muscles that strengthen your knees. As you know, and you may know, I have an artificial left knee. And part of my maintenance workout routine is to do this knees over toes. I bring this up based on what I was saying earlier about being 63. I was a little sore last night, and when I was driving out here, I gave the wife a call just to give her an update of where I was, and she said, "Well, are you still sore?" And I was like, I don't remember being sore. And she said, "Well, you were sore last night." And then I thought about it. You know, how do I feel? Oh yeah, I am kind of sore. My knee's kind of sore. I hadn't done that tote pulling in a while because I was on vacation for 10 days in Costa Rica. And yeah, I was a little sore. And she said, you know, you're still going when you're sore. And I commented that with my lifestyle, I'm sore quite often, either from a workout or from the physical nature of the work I do. At age 63, your body tends to get a little more sore than when you're young and invincible. You got all the growth hormone and testosterone to recover. You tend to recover much more quickly as a youth. And the two hormones I believe that most contribute to that are testosterone and human growth hormone. So you have much less of those as you get older. Although I'm pretty good, I had my testosterone measured and it was 491, and that was a few months ago. Very happy with that at my age. Probably due to some of the maintenance routines that I do. Walk in the sun, red light and near infrared light treatment. I eat a lot of meat and vegetables, not a lot of carbohydrates. Get resistance training because of the work I do. And of course, the leg exercises you get from riding the dirt bike. You can see I'm just going really slow today because I haven't been here in many months. And I've learned my lesson literally here in Manchester to do a sight lap before I do anything at speed. I was on the football field of Whoops. I don't know what they call that. I'll call it the football field. Right there where you pull up when you first pull in the parking lot. It's right there on your left. It's a long section of Whoops. I love to blast that section of Whoops. Sometimes 45, 50 miles an hour. I was here with my nephew a couple years ago, blasted that section, and some guys had been riding directly across, perpendicular to those Whoops. And so they left a huge rut right in the middle of the Whoops, you know, at a 90-degree angle to the Whoops. So I was blasting along at about 40, whoop, 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 whoop. And then across from right to left in front of me was this huge rut. And I think I lost the trail a little bit. Oh, here we go. And I went over the bars. Thankfully it's sand. I landed on sand. My nephew's a paramedic, and he came running over. Said, you know, I don't want to work on my day off, Uncle Mike. And I was fine. I think I knocked the wind out of myself a little bit landing in the sand, but other than that, I was fine. And so that kind of taught me a lesson. Everywhere I go now, I knew better, right? I'm old enough to know better that you haven't been someplace in a while. You're taking a chance if you ride it like you rode it last time, the first time through. You never know where there's a kicker on a jump. You never know when there's a giant rut going across the whoopie-doos that you normally go over at 40, that you really got to hit at about 10 to keep from going over the bars. I mean, that rut was so deep that it was like hitting about a 2.5 foot tall jump with a very steep angle. You know, the jump's much shorter than the bike. Anytime the jump is shorter than the bike, you get kicked back in the rear end, unless you can compress that front end into the jump, which you can only do if you're ready for it. Or I guess if you're a better rider than me. Some guys I'm sure, desert riders probably for sure, because they have to deal with so much crazy stuff, they would probably know exactly what to do, and they wouldn't have gone over the bars. But anyway, yeah, so today we're on an easy ride, so we're going to call this video, you know, Manchester OHV trail conditions. March 11th, 2025. Oh my gosh, 2025, guys. 1992, which doesn't seem like a long time ago to me, but for anybody born, let's say after 2000, holy smokes, that's an old dude, man. I mean, when I was a young man, I remember my wife worked with a lady, and she was a pretty lady, and somebody said something about her, you know, being this really pretty lady. I said, yeah, but she's ancient, you know. And she was 36 years old. I think I told her, my wife, yeah, she's pretty for being 36 years old. But of course, 36 is a youngster to me now. Anyway, it's great to be back. I had a great time. I surfed with 4 really close friends of mine that I've been surfing with for many years. I've been going to Costa Rica since 1992 with one of my buddies. And I mean, we used to go when you had to, you know, ford rivers and take ferries and drive dirt roads. It would take you 8 hours to go a couple hundred miles in some places. And now there's a lot of bridges, there's a lot of Wi-Fi. It's a little sad. I get a little nostalgic, but when I gotta communicate with somebody or I want to make a phone call my wife, I sure do appreciate having cell service and Wi-Fi. So, but they really got that turn dug in there real nice now. That turn, you used to be able to really easily miss it. Got a real good firm dug in there now. Still gonna take it easy. Anytime I get a little froggy, I'm gonna let my conscious brain tell me to chill out and just relax and enjoy these conditions. It's a beautiful day. It's about 72 degrees. It's a low humidity. It's sunny and pretty. A couple days after daylight savings. Personally, giant fan of daylight savings because it's the time of the year that lets you ride dirt bikes, go surfing, go hunting or hiking after work because it gets dark so late. And I know a lot of folks that work really early are upset, like construction guys. But when I worked construction, when it became daylight savings, we just went to work an hour later when it was sunny. I don't get the argument that, hey, I go to work at 4:30 and now it's really 3:30 and it's super dark. I also understand the argument that, hey, not everybody can change their hours, but having done that kind of work for many years, I think with a reasonable boss, most people in construction can. Feels good to be back on the bike. This paddle tire, holy smokes, it's great. I can't stress enough, if you ride sandy trails, certainly East Coast sandy trails like we have, and I'm guessing it probably translates to out there in the west where there's a lot of sand as well. Great tire that gives you the combination of, you get the benefit of the paddle, but it turns pretty good too. Except on a really hard surface, it holds on pretty good even in the corners. And heck, with the extra traction you get in the corners, it kind of makes up for the slide. It's going to slide a little bit. It's going going to move from side to side a little bit. You put a lot of pressure on it in a corner. It was nice to see several people in the parking lot today, out riding. A lot of times when I'm here, there's nobody here. So good to see Manchester's being put to use. And not a lot of tracks. It's definitely rained since people have been out here riding. But it rained yesterday, so heck, they could have ridden the day before or within the last few days before. Red Trail is a good warm-up trail because it's not quite, you can see me banging all these whoops, but it's nothing like the Green Trail. The Green Trail is 2 miles of pain. You know, 2 miles of working man whoop-de-doos. And for me, I do better if I warm up on the red and then hit the green than vice versa. And then end it with the blue because the blue's a nice scenic trail. And not too many whoop-de-doos compared to the green. I guess another difference between surfing and dirt bike is lower back. Even though you're arching your back surfing, you're not holding yourself up the same way. And I can definitely feel my lower back getting a little workout, a little stretch that it hasn't had in a few months. Surfing definitely helps, there's no question. I mean, any kind of exercise you can do. Heck, if you could just ride, as I've said before, an exercise bike for your cardio and your legs, it'll be a tremendous help. You can't get out if you're stuck in an office. They got a gym, you can go down and ride 20 minutes a day. Holy smokes, it makes a giant difference. I'm kind of thankful I haven't run into the other people that are here because the competitive side of me, even in my 60s, sometimes goes a little crazy when I run into somebody else on the trail. And I had a pretty good crash. The last good crash I had was here, of all the trails I've been on, and tore the GoPro right off my chin. I don't think anything else got hurt. Well, the Trail Dragons crash was after that, but that was just a fall over at Wamba. The video's called Beware of Trail Dragons. I landed right on a stump on the left side of my chest over my heart. Now, I'm wearing hard armor, but it's still, if you look at the video, you can see it tore me up. I mean, it made a big old gash in my chest, or not a gash, a road rash like that, you know, a road rash like injury. Even though I had my wallet in my pocket over my chest, an OGO vest, and hard armor. So, without any armor, I really could have been injured. I use that video just to stress the fact that you should always wear your armor. One great thing about Manchester, it sure does make Wamba easy in My heart rate here is at least 10 beats a minute on average higher than at Manchester. It's much more of a workout. I don't understand this right here. Well, I think this is the trail and that's the bypass. I always try to take the trail and not the bypass if possible. Find your way across this. I think they logged it 3 years ago now. Might be 4. I don't really know. But man, at first you were on your own crossing the Great Divide here before you could get back to the old trail. Hey, the bulldozers, you know, they got to come in with trucks and bulldozers. They pretty much had obliterated the old trail in the section here where they logged. Ah, I love the sound of this bike. Woo. I think entering was the last time I rode. Like I said, around January. So it's March 11th, 5 weeks off. Don't recommend that. Really feel it in my back. It's like my back is saying, you haven't used me for anything like this while you weren't riding a dirt bike. And I pick up, you know, 50-pound sacks of salt all the time at my office. But it's just a different muscle memory, muscle system, muscle group to ride the dirt bike. Year is to be able to do all 3 loops twice without stopping here at Manchester. I think if I can do that, when I race the Southern Roots Racing Tour for the 2nd time ever, I'll do better. Have a lot more energy, a lot more fitness. I did practice for up to 2 hours before the first one, but it was almost all at Wamba, which is, you know, fairly easy conditions. A lot of it is wide open trail. You're just riding along a trail. So, something that actually works your body a little more, probably more useful preparation. Because on a hare scramble like that, there's a lot of different kind of terrain, turning hills and things, and just being fit gives you a giant advantage. Not to ride, you can ride it, you know, even if you're not in great fitness, but to consistently ride fast without crashing, right, where your body is working properly and you got good anticipation and good recovery when you get a little out of shape. I mean like recovering from getting out of shape in a wreck type scenario, right? You start to hit a tree and you recover without hitting the tree, that kind of stuff. That requires pretty good good control of your body, and control of your body for 2 hours requires decent foot fitness if you're going any kind of speed. You can go slow for 2 hours and, you know, make 3 laps, but you consistently work out before you go, you can make 4 laps. That 4th lap wipes out a ton of competition, right? If you don't finish the complete lap, you don't get credit just for your time. Ah, shoot. I don't know why I always end up in that side trail there. All right, once you're going along this road here on the red, you make that left, and there's a road on your right, you're just about done. We'll be back at the football field of Woods in just a second. And from my warm-up on that football field, there are tons of cross whoops on there where guys have been coming directly across that field at an angle. So it's just like having another whoop-de-doo, but it's much deeper and much steeper. So you can't skip over it like you can whoop-de-doos, right? When you get going with your speed, you can be tap, tap, tap on the whoops. But these cross trails, the whoops that they leave are so deep. You just can't hit that at speed, or I can't. Like I said, maybe somebody can, desert racers. But it's like hitting this thing right here, right there, at 40, let's say. These aren't bad. I mean, these are just what to do. All right, you can skip over those. You can skim those ones. Whew. All right. Let's hit the green torture trail now. Now that I'm warmed up and a little tired. So this is the 2-mile trail. I like to call it 2 miles of Hades, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to keep my videos kid-friendly and parent-friendly for those parents who care about the words their kids hear. I know some people who wouldn't even want their kids to hear the H word unless it's Hades. And I don't need to say that word. Y'all know exactly what I mean. In a second here, I'm just gonna go up a gear and just start rolling this a little lower RPM. We've talked about it before. When you go up a gear, your acceleration and deceleration is lower, and acceleration and deceleration exercise your core. If you're trying to preserve energy or you're a little out of shape, sometimes you can't resist the whoops, even when you tell yourself you're going to take it even easier. You jump a couple and then you jump the next couple, and you know, everybody knows who enjoys bikes. what I'm talking about. I saw that pink Honda. I thought it was my friend Lisa. She's in one of my videos. She Rips, Lisa Rips, I think is the name of the Superwoman. Superwoman is the name of the video. Whew. That definitely winded me a bit. But there's a pink bike in the parking lot, but it wasn't her. It was a young guy, young man. I don't think I've ever seen him before. I need to ride the blue just to recover from the green. Even though it's in the low 70s, I still got all my gear wet, including my hair, my armor, before I put it on. And I can feel my temperature rising from all the work we're putting in. You know, just the calories you burn. Remember, calories, you really do burn calories. You convert calories into physical energy and heat. Ultimately, all of that physical stuff is dissipated as heat. So let's say you burn 1,000 calories, which is really 100,000 calories. When people say calories, they're actually talking about kilocalories, which are 1,000 of what a calorie really is. I'll have to look up a calorie and see what the what kind of a chunk of energy that really is. Anyway, you know, energy can be measured quantified. Just like you can have 3 cups of milk, you can have 3 kilocalories. Matter of fact, to figure out how much calories there are in a certain food, they dry it off, put it in a heat-tight container, an insulated container, add a certain amount of heat, enough to burn it, and compare the heat it creates when you burn it, the extra heat, with the amount of heat that you put in. So if you know you put 5,000 calories of heat into this insulated container with food in it, but what comes out of that is 6,000, then you know that food had 1,000 calories of energy in it. Think of calories as chunks of energy that you can measure, like a tablespoon, a teaspoon, a calorie. And it's literally a certain number of either joules, a joule is a chunk of energy, or a watt. I believe a watt is a certain number of joules per hour. any case, the bottom line is my body's getting hot because my food is powering my muscles, and the energy it takes to do that is ultimately dissipated as heat. That's why you get hot when you do your jumping jacks on a cold night to warm up. You literally are warming up. You're physically warming your body. You're consuming energy. It's your body's built-in heater, which will last as long as you have fat stored up in your body. And once you burn off your fat, you'll start to burn off your muscle and other tissue. That will be turned into energy. And then you gotta refuel, right? If you don't refuel, you'll just sit down and you won't be able to move. Eventually, when you starve to death, you start to get cold and you can't move because you have nothing to burn, no calories to burn, stored up. Remember, if you're ever lost in the woods with water, if you don't move much, your body will last several weeks. It'll burn up all your energy, all your fat stores and your carbohydrates that are stored. Then it'll start to burn your muscles. But several weeks, you got several weeks worth of energy, enough to power your body doing nothing. But if you're hiking, let's say you're lost, and you just pick a direction and go, and keep going, you're going to burn all that energy much, much more quickly. Exponentially, meaning twice as much, 3 times as much. That's what exponentially means. I'm having so much fun, y'all. Think of Manchester as your personal trainer if you're trying to get more fit on your dirt bike. If you're trying to learn how to ride, whoop-de-doos. If you want to learn how to ride sand, it will accomplish all of those. It's only a little over an hour from Charleston, up near Santee. It's only $25 a year to ride. So it's dirt cheap. You get an annual permit, 25 bucks. So if you're gonna ride here, grab an annual permit. Kind of gives you a little more incentive to get out and ride it. And you don't want that 25 bucks to go to waste. I'm cheating a little bit, right? I'm riding the edges instead of dead center on a lot of these whoops, just because my back is so sore. I want to be able to walk tomorrow, and I don't want to do something that makes me wreck. You know, I want to preserve that strength for the rest of this ride. And then I need to get back here. I noticed the bike really wants to wheelie on the downside of the whoop-de-doos, the backside. It's this paddle tire. YZ250, if you're a little top heavy like I am, my upper body is the upper body of a 6-foot person, but my legs are only 30 inches. My arm span is 72 inches. So your arm span often corresponds to your height. Very broad chest, wide, long arms. But what that means is my shorter legs, I've got a lot of weight up top. And a YZ250 is a little bit susceptible to whiskey throttle if you get it over center. The back wheel is pretty close under your butt. So if you're trying this paddle tire for the first time and you're not used to it, you got to be a little careful that you don't wheelie the bike out from underneath you on the backside of a whoop-de-doo. I've done it at about 40 miles an hour on wall ball, not with this tire, but on a brand new tire that I wasn't used to. And that was a problem. I was trying to jump the whoops at Wall north, and I was going really fast. 45, I think. Fast for me. And in jumping, instead of just keeping in the attack position with my helmet over the bars, I leaned back. When I leaned back, the bike just went straight into a wheelie, went down the backside of a whoop-de-doo, and on the backside of the whoop-de-doo, it just kept right on going. And next thing I know, I was slamming face first into the next whoop-de-doo. Thankfully, it was on the downside. I filled up my helmet with dirt. I bent my left side of my handlebar, and I right with a crossbar on my handlebars. I bent it down about 7 or 8 inches. It's so hard. I hit my thigh, I believe on the handlebar, not sure, so hard that it tore a nerve onto the surface. And for 5 or 6 years, I had no feeling in the muscle of my upper left thigh. It still worked, but I could put a pin in that leg and it wouldn't hurt. Probably kept me from hurting too bad during that crash by numbing it. And I was able to actually ride the bike that way with my handlebar turned down, way down here. Take the shortcut back to the parking lot, put new bars on there. But man, I don't ever want to do that again. And I understand, I realize how much worse that crash could have been. So I try really very, very hard to stay in the attack position all the time, especially on whoop-de-doos. I try to put my butt out, not lock my knees, but straighten my knees, drop my heels, all of those classic positioning tricks that tend to save people when they get out of shape versus acting like you're about to wheelie a bicycle. Look at that beastly whoop-de-doo. Woo. right there. But it's gotten much worse in the last few years. The whoops weren't nearly as bad the first time I rode it. You could really fly up that thing safely. Now it's a little more of a challenge. Remember, when I'm talking about a challenge, this is for me. An amateur rider, maybe a sea-level rider. I'm on trails that I know and still only go this fast. I'm a little older, so I don't take as many chances. And I still crash occasionally. Because it's just fun to go fast. It's fun to push the boundaries of your skill set. And sometimes you get bit when you ride that close to the lion or the tiger, let's say. I was born in the year of the tiger, and I went to Clemson for my undergrad, so go Tigers. Tighten this visor up, the darn thing keeps falling down on me. Now here's where I crashed pretty good. Last year, or the year before, I can't remember which it was. Trying to keep up with a guy who was much faster than I was. You know, I was like, woohoo! And just got a little sideways, and that was enough. And my only I was thankful I didn't hit a tree. Goes to the right. Oh yeah, here we go. We're back on it. I consider that left one cutting the trail, but I was on it before I could see where I was. Next time through, that won't happen. About getting tired. What's easy when your legs are fresh is very dangerous if your legs aren't ready for it, or if you're worn them out. You can absorb a lot with your legs. I gotta fix this visor. Let's fix the visor. Tighten it up a little bit. There we go. Much better. I want this visor to stay put. And I want it up in the woods, but I need it down when I'm going straight into the sun. I can ride with it down all the way all the time, but it's not nearly as fun. You block half your view, and part of my ride, what I enjoy, is this really pretty view of the woods. Cover it up unless I'm blocking the sun. Well, as you can see, Manchester's still Manchester. Tons and tons and tons of whoop-de-doos. It's a workout. But it's your friend, right? It's your fitness friend. Definitely will be very sore tomorrow in the legs and the lower back. But thankfully, after a couple of days, healed up. Something I heard today I didn't know is that you can do a cold plunge or some other cold inducing event before you work out. It raises your testosterone and growth hormone, and it can be pretty dramatic. Look it up. There's a study. Look up Japanese cold plunge before workout and see what the data says. I haven't tried it. I know Rogan does it, and a lot of the guys that he in his circle rely on the cold plunge. I mean, I knew there were other benefits. I wasn't aware of the capability of increasing testosterone and growth hormone. As always, the reason for that is not necessarily to give you motivation to work out. It's the speed of recovery. You have a giant advantage. It's a competitive advantage that athletes are just learning about. You know, since you can't take a lot of supplements, say in MMA or the Olympics, natural methods are really important for those folks, and they can be important for us too. Instead of having to spend money on testosterone replacement, you know, you just do the things. If you have access to an AI system, go to Grok AI. You know, that's Elon Musk's AI tool, and ask it to give you the top 5 bullets for naturally boosting testosterone and growth hormone. Now, of course, one of them you can't escape, and that's resistance training. You can't escape it. It's one of the most effective tools. Some kind of resistance training. But guess what? Dirt bike is resistance training for your upper body a bit, but for your legs. Think of how many squats, like say here at Manchester, how many squats I've done just today in, 20 miles of riding or whatever it is. I think it's 19 miles. something like that, probably several hundred, if not more. Maybe, I don't know, 1,000. Now they're not full squats, right? But some are. Some are deep squats. Some are just barely. But it's large muscle group getting resistance training. And large muscle group resistance training is the most effective way of naturally boosting testosterone. So ride your dirt bike over whoop-de-doos. It's interesting that what will tear you up the most, give you the right hormones to help you recover the fastest. And if you think about it, it really makes sense, right? It makes sense that your body's evolved to handle what you do to it. So if what you do to it requires a lot of recovery, your body generally, if you're healthy, is going to produce whatever it takes to recover when you do stuff to it that requires recovery. So it's only natural, guys. It's only natural, ladies. I don't often say guys and ladies. I know that my audience is mostly guys, but I'm always talking to everyone. It's generic, and especially folks with kids, you know, please get your girls out in the woods on dirt bikes. Their future mates will thank you, and they will thank you. It's so nice when you can do something with your wife or your girlfriend that you like to do, and then you can learn things, you know, and if you like to do the same things, whatever they are. Adding the joy of dirt biking just adds another tool in the toolbox for your relationship, among all the other things you like to do together. It can be all kinds of things. It's just one more tool that's available to enjoy spending time with each other. My wife and I, we like to go to church. We like to have Sunday dinner with her mom. We like to watch reruns of Frasier over and over. And we also, though, thankfully, she likes to hike. So I've got my little private hunt club, 2,000 acres, where you can see tons of beautiful animals. On a 1-hour hike, you might see 30 deer and squirrels and raccoons and owls and eagles. And it's something that she and I can share, instead of just me taking off and getting my sanctuary of the woods by myself. I do plenty of that. I do plenty by myself. But it's really nice that she can go with me, and she enjoys it. She doesn't need it as often as I do. But when she does go, it's something we share. You know, people say quality time versus quantity time, but I think quantity time creates a quality relationship. As long as you're not hating life, you know, as long as you're not doing something that you absolutely can't stand for the other person. You know, some kind of compromise that is like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to do this. Yeah, look at this thing. So you can hit this one pretty fast. But you wouldn't want to accidentally hit that. You know, not be aware of it, accidentally run into that, that could be a challenge you weren't prepared for. Man, the bike seems so tall today. Everywhere I go, the bike is tall. Listen to that baby purr. Well, that was a good ride, y'all. Very nice. Let's turn the gas off. Woo! Those fellas are still somewhere in the woods. They hit blue, I think, first. I think that's where I first saw their tracks, was on the blue trail. Man, good ride. I always stick my gloves under this thing lately. You know, I used to just set them on the seat, but it's so easy for them to fall on the ground and you get distracted, and then suddenly you drive off without your gloves. For me, I'm an absent-minded person. If I have to take something home from work, I put it in front of the doorway. All right, we are here. Let's get our burrito. In a minute, we're going to enjoy a nice toasty burrito. Water holds its heat for hours. This is physically hot. I'd say this is 130, 120, 130 degrees. So now I'm going to put it right here, which is insulated so that it won't lose any heat through the side through contact. That's it, folks. If you like my videos, thumbs up. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Subscribe if you want to be notified when I have videos. Until next time, get out in the woods, get on your bike, and have a great time. Stay safe. Enjoy. Take care. Bye-bye.